There was a night when I saw something I can't explain. I still hear the whispers, and I still wonder if it was real or just my mind playing tricks on me. But I swear, what happened that night has changed how I see everything. It started with my friend Amina. She was always a bit bigger than the other girls in our village, but it didn't seem like a big deal at first. We all teased each other, but for some reason, it hurt Amina more than it should. She would laugh it off, but deep down, I knew she hated how she looked. One night, I went to visit her at her house. It was around dusk when the sky was turning dark and the village was quiet. Amina didn't come out much anymore. She'd stopped going to the river with us, stopped hanging out with the other girls. I could see her becoming more and more withdrawn, like she was hiding from the world. When I knocked on her door, she didn't answer right away. I called out her name, and after a few minutes, she opened the door. She looked different that night, pale, almost sickly, like she hadn't slept in days. I've been feeling strange, she said softly, like she didn't want to say too much. But it's nothing. I didn't believe her, but I didn't press it. We sat down and I tried to talk with her, but she kept staring at the wall, lost in thought. It was then that I noticed something strange in the corner of the room. A large mirror stood against the wall where Amina had placed it after moving some things around in our house. I had never really noticed it before, but tonight it felt different. It was almost like the mirror wasn't reflecting the room properly. The edges were fogged up, and the reflection of the room seemed darker than it should have been. I felt uneasy, but I didn't say anything. After a while, Amina stood up and went to the mirror. I don't look like them. I'll never look like them, she said, her voice breaking. I stood up, walking toward her. Amina, don't say that. You're beautiful the way you are. But she didn't listen. She stared into the mirror, her face twisted with frustration. Why can't I be like the others? She whispered. Why do I look like this? I reached out to pull her away from the mirror, but just as I touched her shoulder, something strange happened. The reflection in the mirror wasn't hers anymore. I froze. The girl in the mirror was different, taller, thinner, with sharp features. But the eyes were wrong. They were hollow, black, and empty. I couldn't move, couldn't say anything. I wanted to shout, to pull Amina away, but it was like my body was frozen. Suddenly, the girl in the mirror smiled, a wide, twisted grin. And then she whispered, in a voice that wasn't Amina's, you'll never be good enough. You'll never fit in. You'll always be alone. I felt a cold chill run through me. And before I could react, Amina's voice snapped me out of my trance. What's wrong? She asked, looking at me in confusion. I turned to look at her and then back at the mirror. The reflection was normal again. Amina's face stared back at me, tired but real. I tried to explain to her what had happened, but she just shrugged it off. Maybe I'm just tired. I've been having strange dreams lately. That night I left her house feeling unsettled, like something wasn't right. I couldn't shake the image of that girl in the mirror and the horrible smile, but I didn't tell anyone. I didn't know if it was a bad dream or if I was seeing things. The next day, I went back to Amina's house to check on her. I wanted to make sure she was okay, but when I knocked, nobody answered. I waited for a while before deciding to go in. The door was unlocked, and when I stepped inside, the house felt cold. Too cold for a house that was usually warm and cozy. Amina, I called, but there was no answer. I walked through the house, calling her name again. Then I reached the room with the mirror. The mirror. It was gone. I looked around in confusion. Where had it gone? Amina had always kept it there. I checked the rest of the house, but it was empty. No sign of her anywhere. Panic set in. I ran outside, calling her name, but nobody had seen her. Not her family, not the neighbors, no one. It was like she had vanished. Weeks went by, and Amina was still missing. I couldn't stop thinking about that night. I wondered if she was okay, if something had happened to her. Had she run away? Did something happen in that mirror? I couldn't shake the feeling that the mirror had something to do with it. Then, one night, I overheard some older women talking in the village. They were whispering about a strange woman who had been seen wandering the streets of a nearby village. She looked like Amina, exactly like her. But there was something wrong with her eyes. They were dark, hollow, and empty, just like the girl in the mirror. The woman had been asking everyone she met the same question: Am I beautiful now? Am I enough?